Today, we're not going to talk about anything other than the man who literally transformed the world of football transfers. For better or for worse, we'll let you decide. Mino Raiola sadly passed away after suffering from a serious lung condition that was only recently revealed. The super agent leaves behind a legacy for sure, and today, that's the only thing we're going to talk about. A star among stars. This is how you can best sum up Mino Raiola's career in a few words. Agent of players whose fame will perhaps never be equaled on the football planet. The Italian-Dutch agent died this Saturday at the age of 54. This time, no doubt. After the episode of his fake death, which occurred no later than Thursday, Mino Raiola ended up losing his fight against the lung disease that he had contracted many months ago. In infinite sorrow, we announce the passing of the most benevolent and wonderful agent who ever lived. Mino fought until the end with the same strength he had at the negotiating table when it was necessary to defend our players, indicates in particular the press release published by the entourage of the one who reigned over the transfer market for almost 30 years and whose career as an agent remains very different from all of his colleagues. Starting from nothing to reach the dizzying heights of football, such is the story of the life of Mino Raiola. However, nothing predestined him for this. The native of Nocera Inferiore in Campania, Italy, ultimately only lived for a year in Italy, when his parents moved to Haarlem in the Netherlands and decided to set up their restaurant business, Ristorante Napoli. Carmine, his real first name, on the other hand, did not have everything of an ordinary pizza maker, except that he helped with the dishes, the service, and obviously got involved in the financial part of the restaurant. The law student set foot in the world of football after having started his life as a businessman. He notably owned a franchise of McDonald's, and especially after playing with the young people of HFC Haarlem. It was at this club that he rose through the ranks, going from youth manager to sporting director, for example, in the space of a few years. The life of this polyglot changed when an agent asked him to do the translation for one of his clients. From 1993, he intervened as an intermediary in the transfer of Dennis Bergkamp and Wim Jonk from Ajax Amsterdam to Inter Milan. The beginnings of an extraordinary career for a man who will eventually become a super agent, as idolized as he is hated in the world of football. It was therefore quite logical that Mino Raiola became a FIFA player's agent and fully started his new life, to which he devoted himself in both body and soul, in his own way. As a symbol of his strong personality and his character feared by the leaders of the biggest clubs in the world, the first big shot of the Italian-Dutch is called Zlatan Ibrahimovic, even though in 2001 he negotiated the transfer of the legendary Pavel Nedved from Lazio to Juventus for 41 million euros. A bit like the Swede, renowned for his oversized ego, Raiola built his reputation on outspokenness, defining all forms of politeness. It is not just Pep Guardiola, whom he portrayed as a zero, a coward, a dog, after having put Ibra aside at Barca, who will say the opposite. Feared by management for his robustness in negotiations and his ever more greedy demands, this sulphurous agent was always guided by money and the desire to find the best contract for his protégés, whom he compared to works of art. Ibrahimovic was, for example, his Mona Lisa. However, Raiola always maintained that he never influenced a club into making a decision. Rather, he always defended his players, whom he valued above anything else. "I have no power or influence. My job is to find the best deal for my players. Nothing more," he once told the BBC in February 2021. In the event of a dispute, Raiola, as a strong-headed individual, did not retain his players, with whom he nevertheless maintained strong relations. This is how he managed to attract Mario Balotelli, Gianluigi Donnarumma, Erling Haaland, Matthijs de Ligt, and even Paul Pogba during his career. La Pioche will also remain one of his finest moves, with in the summer of 2016 a move from Juventus to Manchester United for a transfer of around 105 million euros, the biggest in history at the time. More recently, he managed to place Matthijs de Ligt, his Rembrandt Nightwatch, at Juventus for 85.5 million euros. His closeness to PSG and the Ile-de-France management was also in no doubt, as evidenced by the relationship between Raiola and Marco Verratti, who moved from Pescara all those years ago. Mino Raiola was above all about to experience a more than eventful summer, if only with the thorny Erling Haaland case to be finalised. Although the Norwegian cyborg has only a 75 million euros clause with Borussia Dortmund, the man who bought Al Capone's villa in Miami in 2016 did not hesitate to raise bidding to obtain a substantial share of the cake in this operation, ultimately costing a few €100 million. Alas, his players will now have to learn to live without him. Clubs will definitely see his death as one less formidable enemy in the market. Although Mino Raiola will undoubtedly leave an indelible mark on footballing history forever. So, what do we say about Raiola that's not already been said? For football clubs, the super agent was a person who would bring the best sporting directors and owners to their knees. He knew the talented players he had in his pocket and knew how crucial it was to get the best deal for his clients. Clubs are always looking for the best player, and while a lot of club owners and sports directors don't have enough respect for agents, Raiola was built different. He was a man who would move heaven and earth to get the best deal for his clients, even if it came to taking a hit on his own reputation. But Raiola never really cared about it. A few years ago he said that he did not care if no one knew his name, as long as they paid him. For Raiola, asserting dominance of his players over a club was far more important, and this is exactly where he revolutionized the football transfer market. Before he started creating a stable of the best players on the planet, football agents were normally seen as individuals who were desperate to sell a player to a club in order to maintain a relationship. But for Raiola, it didn't matter. He was the one who made the rest of the agents realize that at the end of the day, it's the likes of him who actually wield all the power. And that's actually true if you think about it. Imagine a very good player fending for himself at a club. He would of course be at the mercy of his employers, but if that player had an agent like Raiola protecting his interests, he knew that everyone will tread lightly around him. Take for example Paul Pogba. The Frenchman was not that good at Manchester United, but despite all that, he got away with so much because Raiola was always there, hovering like a spectre above Old Trafford, sending the likes of Ed Woodward and company soft reminders that it's not the player who needs the club, it's the other way around. And today, that is exactly the case with pretty much every good player. So yes, for a lot of people out there, Raiola was a controversial figure, and for some, a vitriolic human being who only cared for himself. But if truth be told, he was the best agent any athlete could ever dream of, and he will be missed by his clients. We'll never see someone like him again. Rest in peace, Mino Raiola. You were definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but you were definitely a trailblazer, and someone who brought something different to the table.